Hi boys and girls, hope you're all well. Coming to you this week in slightly higher definition than normal, and from now on, which I know is doing nothing for this up here, but everything for this right here as we're looking at our first vintage guitar on the channel. This is my 1976 Fender Stratocaster. Okay, as mentioned, this is my Fender Strat from 1976, which I've not owned since new before you start. That was 5 years before I was born. But I have owned it for about 20 years. I picked it up in the late 90s, something like that, early 2000s maybe. And since then, I've done a few bits with it and made a few modifications to it because I was quite a bit younger then. We'll talk about them in a bit. In general terms, though, it's everything you'd expect from a Strat. Ash body on this one, maple neck, rosewood fingerboard, really nice headstock. I love the big 70s headstocks on these things. Got to talk about the logo though, because when I first got it, I thought it was really unusual. Since then though, I've seen many other Lefty mid-70s Strats with that logo configuration. I actually found a couple online in the lead up to filming this video. There was a Lefty one from 76 and actually a right-handed one too. The Lefty that I found had the same logo. And the right-handed one didn't. The right-handed one seemed to have the more standard Fender Stratocaster logo from the 70s. Just a word on the serial numbers on these because they can be a little bit sort of hit and miss. Some of the really early ones like this, they have 2 digits, 7-6, to symbolize the year, and then 5 digits after that. The more common serial numbers from around this time though, because it was like the CBS era and they were trying to implement some sort of serial coding for all of these, so they usually start with an S, like S7 or S8 or something like that, then a series of numbers after that. And the color of this one, although it's like a natural looking finish, wasn't like that originally. When I first took the scratch plate off of this, it was actually like a green color underneath, which is slightly ironic because you see a lot of natural finish 70s Strats. So all in, very nice guitar, still sounds like a Strat, which is great. But let's talk more after this. So let's talk about modifications. First thing I need to point out is that when I got this guitar, the 5-way toggle here had actually been replaced by 3 on-off switches, which I suppose was quite a nice idea from the previous owner, but not really practical at all, especially when you're playing live and you want to switch to another pickup on the fly really quickly. You haven't got time for all that. So I quickly, soon after I got it, had a 5-way put back in here. As mentioned, the colour has changed, sanded down. Was never really lacquered enough here though. It's never really felt quite substantial enough on the lacquer front. And because of that, I could have done something about it, but because of that, it started to sort of wear away in places. Here's the thing that I did to it. Because I was probably about 19 when I got it. It made perfect sense to me to put a Seymour Duncan Hot Rails stacked humbucker in there. which I thought would suit the guitar perfectly. And do you know what? Each to their own. There's nothing wrong with that. And it actually sounds pretty cool. Probably not the sort of thing I'd do now, and I would have left the original pickup in there. The other two pickups in the guitar are still original though. We need to talk about the condition of this because as you saw from the one that I found online, which was definitely in better condition than this one, they go for quite a few quid. But this one has definitely seen better days. It's got some big old cracks down the back of the neck, down the back of the headstock. On the back as well, there's quite a few chips and dings everywhere. Not all of that was really down to me though. That was the condition it was in when I got it. It was obviously reflected in the price though, so it wasn't, you know, like it was a huge amount of money at the time. But yeah, it's not the best example of a 70s Strat, that's for sure. Still plays okay. Still have a little bit of problem with setting the action here and there. I needed a bit of a clean up and a restring obviously before I did this. And I've always felt that the frets, I don't know if the frets were replaced before I got it, but they've always felt really flat. They just got like a very flat sort of, you know, like, I don't know, it's strange. But it's not to say that I don't love it, because I do love it. And it's, as I've mentioned in previous videos, quite hard for us to find vintage instruments being Lefty. So when you do find them, you should get them and you should hold on to them. Still sounds good though, and I've used it in various places, all the usual places, you know, a bit of filming, bit of recording, some live stuff, but I tend to not take it out very often now. I have another Strat, which is sort of like the go-to workhorse Strat. This one I sort of just bring out on special occasions really. But I particularly like, having sort of laughed at myself for changing that back pickup, I do actually like the sound of when you've got the middle and the bridge pickup in place, because you still get that sort of nice quackiness from it, and because of the Seymour Duncan in the back there, it actually sort of boosts it a little bit, so you get that sort of nice funky twang to it. So yeah, that's my vintage 76 Fender Strat. Okay, that's nearly it for today. A couple of things I wanted to mention though to finish with. Now that these videos have been going out quite a bit, just to say thanks really for the way they've been received. It's nice to see obviously so many lefties coming together, but also right-handed players. Everyone obviously is welcome, as I've said since the beginning. But yeah, I also want a big shout out to all the people that have supported this so far. And as you might have seen already, we're starting to have some interviews on here. I'm going to get some guests on, some friends. A lot of muso friends are going to be coming on here just having a chat. Initially starting with the lefties, but then we'll move on to people who are right-handed and even people who aren't guitarists. Can you believe that? I know, I'll let anyone in these days. And one thing that was pointed out by someone who left a comment on YouTube recently, which was a really good point. It's not really like a ranty thing like we usually do at the end of these videos. It's more of a realization thing that there's a lot of people out there who are left-handed who actually take up the guitar right-handed. And some of their rationale behind doing that is they simply have more choice in guitars if they were to play right-handed. Which I think is actually, I've met some people like that in the past, and it's something that I wanted to mention before now. But it's very interesting to see that sometimes people will go against their natural way of holding a guitar, and they'll want to learn that way so they can have the best pick of guitars. Very interesting. Certainly nothing wrong with that. And very last thing, I wanted to start throwing out some recommended listening, perhaps some weird and wonderful albums that you might not have heard of before. So today I wanted to talk about an album by a band called the Thorns, which came out in the early 2000s. They were a bit of a super group. Sean Mullins was in it, a couple of other guys. Great singer, songwriter, kind of acoustic-y album. I saw these guys play live when me and my wife went to see the Dixie Chicks. It's a long time ago, 2003 I'm going to say, and Thorns were the support act, so I bought their album on the night and I still listen to it today, and it's a brilliant album, just great songwriting, great playing, great feel to the whole thing, so check it out. It's a shame they never got back together. It was very short-lived, but there you go, that's it for today. Hope you've had fun, and I'll see you on the next one.